If ever there was a person who deserves or was the embodiment of social justice, of why this country was both founded and upon the pillars it still rests, it's Tina Luongo.
I was born in Coney Island in 1967. And Coney Island during that time was extremely segregated. And that segregation divided the community and created animus. All of that frames the way in which I've come to this work. I'm an only child of a single mom. Her name was Rose. She was known in Coney Island as Rosie the Blonde. She died when I was 23. I remember at her wake, the people coming to pay respect were clearly people from Coney Island who had known my mother for decades. But two women came up, women of color, and told me that they knew my mother, they were from Coney Island, they were sex workers, and my mother would hold some money for them that they would skim off the top, that they didn't want to hand over to their pimps. I was blown away by this. And now when I look back, I'm like, of course she did. Of course she did. She created a safety net for women. I think about that story about my mom all the time. By the end of my first year at John Dewey High School, I was way behind. So we were all sitting, basically cutting class, and I get approached by Kenny Wright, and he says, "Are you Tina?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Are you Rosie's daughter?" I say, "Yeah." He says, "Come with me." And he brings me to room 102. And that's the Council for Unity room. And he introduces me to that time an English teacher at John Dewey High School named Bob DeSena. And he says to Bob, "This kid needs you." And he says, "He's gonna take care of you. You're gonna join this club. Your mom told me you need this." This club was a club that existed in John Dewey High School since 1975. And its mission was to get the kids from all the racial and ethnic divided groups in the school to work together, but mostly to work on community projects.
This small program in John Dewey High School had just filed for its 501c3 and become now this official nonprofit. And so Tina oversaw the administration, the finance, the operations, and together we were able to grow this small program in one high school into a citywide project, and then finally nationally.
But you can't just do that and think we're going to change. So you gotta force the system to change, and the way to do that is law reform. So I started as a public defender in the criminal defense practice at Legal Aid, and right after law school. Legal Aid Society is the pushback to the systems that create the oppression.
Tina has a phenomenally important job in New York City. She runs the criminal division of Legal Aid, which means that she oversees 1,000 professionals, 700 of them as lawyers, 230,000 clients a year who have been charged with crimes and otherwise wouldn't be able to afford to have a lawyer.
Part of that is not just dealing with the criminal matter, but to deal with civil legal services issues or even social services issues.
A big partner of ours, particularly around pretrial justice, is Fedcap and Wildcat.
One of the critical initiatives at Legal Aid under Tina's leadership has been what they call the decarceration project. In other words, getting people out of jail in New York City.
Working with the Decarceration Project introduced us to Christine and Valentina through our Women's Pretrial Release Project, or what we call the Women's Project.
Our efforts began with Herb Sturz and Peter Samuels, who really had a concept in mind that we could seriously reduce the population at Rikers. And they were talking about this long before it became in the public's eye. And we weren't in that room with Tina Luongo for more than 30 seconds when my eyes lit up and I thought, we have found the person who could really make all the difference in this effort.
This is where I think, you start a program that is representing people directly, but the takeaway is you're trying to change a system.
And that's all our clients need, is they just need people who are trying to be strategic and have vision to say, we can address a lot of these different issues that perhaps you didn't even think could be addressed.
Whether it's closing Rikers Island, whether it's ending money bail, whether it's reducing incarceration, Tina is at the forefront of all those issues.
She has always been someone who strives for social justice, to make sure that those people who for far too long are not at the table are not just present but heard.
What is driving people to the criminal justice system is not criminality, it's poverty. It's lack of access. It's lack of services. It's lack of us recognizing that there are broken systems, oppressive, racist broken systems that have gotten us where we are. Whether it's the criminal justice system, the juvenile justice system, the child welfare system, the housing system, right, the benefit system. The concept is this: let's do it differently.